Okay, folks, I'm going to call this meeting to order. This is the committee of the whole meeting for November 12th, 7 p.m. We are right at 7 p.m. For those who are in attendance on it and online, please be aware that our meetings are recorded for public viewing and placed on a publicly available website. We will acknowledge that we are honored to be on the unceded First Nations land of Ihaddisut territory. If I could get someone to approve the agenda, please.
Motion to approve the agenda.
I'm going to take that as the Councillor Janice motion and a Councillor Lewis is a second, if that's okay.
Yep.
Perfect. Thank you for that. Errors, omission, anything to add or delete off of the committee of the whole agenda? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
None opposed, so that's carried. Adoption of the minutes is next.
Motion to adopt the minutes from the October 8th, 2024 committee of the whole meeting.
Second.
Thank you, Councillor Lewis and Councillor Janice. Errors, omissions, anything like that in there? Questions you have? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
That's none opposed, so that's carried. No delegations, correspondence, reports. So our business here today is to talk about capital requests and major purchases. So I'm first going to turn that over to CAO Nelson Smith to delegate to whatever staff he so wishes. Did you have anything to add to this report, CEO Nelson Smith?
Thank you, Mayor Colburn. So I think for the purposes of this meeting, the staff can speak to their requests, to provide council with more information of why the request is on the list and possibly answer questions about the urgency of each request. We've done our best to go through and provide some dates, but at the end of the day, this is a council's budget to approve. And it is for us to provide recommendations and also to follow what council has approved.
Perfect. I think what I'm going to do is actually, could I get you to go through the graph with us, and then as we go through, I'll ask each department and person who has input anything new to possibly prioritize their first top 2 or 3, and also while you're going through there to do a little kind of check or cross on the things that we feel important, so that when it comes to our part of the conversation, we have a little bit more to go on. I've gone through all of mine and put checks or X's and the things that I think, but of course, staff and departments may have rathers that or priorities that we're not seeing. So is that okay? Does that sound like a decent process?
Yes.
For you to go through the graph first that's on page 204?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor Colburn. So starting in the middle of page 204 is the 2023 capital or major purchases that we put forward. The reason this is on the list is to show through either capacity or unforeseen circumstances that these are projects that are now 2 years in the making, and having not accomplished them to date, whether council wants to carry forward with them for 2025 or reduce them to something else. I will speak to each one because some of them are already in the throes of being done, and so good for council to understand that as we move forward. So with the village office ramp replacement, we are working with a company to provide a design and get that built. That is through grant funding, which has been confirmed. So that is something that we hope will be done by the end of 2024. but it's going to be contingent on material supply. Public Works building, I will get our Public Works foreman Hudson to speak on that.
I have done some upgrades with that money this year, including some east troughs and stuff at the Public Works yard. I do not foresee that I'll spend the rest of this amount in this year. Yeah.
Is it something you'd like to keep?
It's something now I would like to see for next year, mostly for covering on vehicle backloads equipment.
The next, materials to extend the life of the road and bridges. In discussions with our finance manager and amongst the finance team, this is an item we feel would sit better in our operations budget rather than a capital major purchases section to it, because materials, like so many things, are just part of operations. The concession stand, this year would be great to get absolute clarity from council on what is to be done at the concession stand, so we can add that into the subject line to give staff direction on where to go with that budget. The seaplane float relocation study, just based on the amount of other projects we were working on this year, the Pandora Slough culvert, the Rockfall barrier, the mobile home park, the official community plan. This one, we decided to put off to the end of the year. It may get pushed into January 2025, February 2025, if council approves it in the upcoming budget. Trail expansion remediation, we did get a lot of volunteer work done this year. We do have plans on going in and replacing some more of the boardwalk in Little Zeballos Trail. I am assuming that that's going to happen in 2024, but not likely for the remainder of that budget. Overflow parking lot, majority of that was done in the spring. However, with the influx of tourism and basically the summer season, too many boats, trailers, and vehicles got in there for us to finish that project. So that is still slated to be finished. And I will get Hudson to speak on the campsite upgrade.
I'd say that is almost nearly complete too. The only thing missing was I was hoping maybe a new sign and maybe some more benches for people, but the bulk of it is complete, and I could purchase those benches before the end of the year.
Okay, so thank you for that. So hearing that, I'm going to open it up to council now. We've heard that the top one and the bottom one are essentially probably going to seek completion by the end of the year, essentially. That there's some upgrades have been done on Public Works, so there's an opportunity to move one of these items to operating, and then the rest are kind of seeking clarity. So I will pass this over to council now to comment on any of those subjects, if you would, please.
If I may,
Councillor Deck.
yes. Through chair to Public Works. How badly are your buildings leaking?
How bad are my buildings leaking?
Yes,
As in all the buildings of the
Yes.
village as well?
all of them that you put valuable equipment in, maybe.
I wouldn't say they're leaking at all. I'd say the Public Works building, maybe if you're relating to that, which I did have some water coming in there and leaking, and really been taken care of with the east troughs that I put on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're not bad then.
No.
Excellent. Good, thanks. Thank you.
Councillor Lewis.
Yeah, just on the clarity, the concession stand, didn't we discuss having fans and that put in so it could be used as a concession stand for when it's needed instead of having to haul stuff outside, like the deep fryers and stuff like that?
My memory serves me correct. We've always talked about having a hood fan in there in storage, but, yeah, we, it would be great to have that in a subject line, yes. Councillor Deck?
Yeah, I would like to have it operational too, but it seemed to me that the cost was gonna be prohibitive. So is it worth spending a lot of money for the amount of use it'll get?
So I'll turn that over to staff. Have you had any research done on this or anything? Obviously not if you needed a subject line, or have you done that before previously?
I have not.
I have briefly just researched some hood fans, stuff like that, and kind of what we had discussed before is they are very expensive for any commercial type hood fan. There's other options we can do for fans and vent and stuff like that, but yeah.
Hood fans are a price point that are probably beyond us, but other ventilation would be appropriate.
We could do just regular fans, but I don't know if that would take care of the literal grease and cooking and stuff like that, but maybe you guys are after.
I can
Councillor
answer a bit
Janice,
of that.
policy- Yeah,
So if you want to put in a hood fan that you can cook under, you have to get a commercial hood with fans, and you have to get fire suppression equipment. And the fire suppression equipment has to be validated yearly and serviced. And I would guess you're looking in the $60,000 range probably for something fairly simple. Thank you.
all right, any other comments from anybody on the rest of that? What I'm hearing is the Public Works building are we okay to roll that over to the next year for Public Works to complete those upgrades? If I don't hear any nays, I'm just gonna keep going. Perfect. Materials to extend the road and to extend the life of the road and bridges. We can move that over to operations. Not hearing any nays, perfect. Concession stand, I'm gonna leave that one because I think there may be a conversation about it. The seaplane float relocation study, that's out of the gas tax reserve. Staff, are you just looking for us to roll that over if we still want that done? Okay, so that's a rollover, is that okay till next year?
Yes.
Okay, trail expansion and remediation, there's always work to be done there. Everybody's okay to moving some of that over. Overflow parking lot still needs work, that's in a plan though, and will be underway as time and space allows. Perfect, and then the campsite upgrade is done. So concession stand. I think there's absolute validity that we don't use it much, and we don't use it much when we can't. I also had some people approach me in the village this year, actually, about starting up some things happening again at the field. So while I appreciate the expense of having a hood fan over there, I think we have, if we could get some storage and get it cleaned up, I think I would probably be happy with that, and then we can revisit that hood fan at another time. I think there's a lot going on. How do you guys feel about that? Is this something we really want to push? We want to try to get staff to research maybe some alternatives to, some fan equipment in case something goes on, or do we want them to be spending more time on other things? There's a lot of lists coming up of wants that people have put in for this year already. So where are we at with that? Councillor Deck?
Thank you. At first, I was in favor of fixing the concession stand. But as it turns out, one of my boys is a fire suppression journeyman. And he estimates that Justin's on the cheap side of what it's gonna cost to get it done and keep it going. So to me, it's pointless to spend that much money. If we want to have some kind of events there, we're gonna have to look at barbecues, etc. Because we can't afford to build a little restaurant there. It's too much money. I'm sorry to say. Thank you.
Councillor Lewis.
Yeah, maybe for now, just go in and look at the organization. I know that there was some unpainted plywood, but clean up all that sort of stuff and organize it so that even if one has to put the deep fryers outside and stuff, that it's accessible and easy for somebody to work in there and easy to wipe down and clean.
Councillor Janice.
I was kind of looking forward to when we get our water system complete and looking at the field at that point. I don't know how far down the road that's going to be, but I kind of envisioned that whole area changing quite a bit, potentially. And then maybe relooking at, you know, the field's in rough shape and the fences are in rough shape. And maybe at that point we could put a plan together for everything.
Absolutely, and I think that when we were discussing the sewer expansion project, that was the intent of putting the field there, was to have that redone, that whole field. So I think that will come under the price tag for the sewer expansion. That's essentially, they can't leave it in a mess. They have to leave it in a good state and basically what was there and what was done. I'd offer a compromise. I'd offer a compromise to put $2,500 into the concession stand for storage because it's badly needed over there for events, when we have events or when we rent it out to Northern Region games or something like that. And then put another $2,500 in 2029 for investigations into upgrades. How does that sound to people? Because then that does wait, because we'll have to do some more work eventually in it. It leaves it as a oh, what is that called?
Placeholder.
Placeholder. Thank you for that. It leaves it as a placeholder for future for future work to be done over there, but also just allows our public works, if they find a great storage solution, want to buy bulk that they're putting in it, the public works can pop some in the concession stand. Does that sound reasonable? It's only a $5,000 price ticket. Hello, yeah, Councillor Duck.
Yes, as Aaron would say,
Is
good idea. I'm with you on that.
that sound reasonable to people, or do we just want to strike it?
No, it sounds reasonable.
I think that's not unreasonable, but it sounds to me like we need to do a little bit of an assessment on the building. I don't know how it looks in there. I don't know who does, but it sounds like we need to figure that out and figure out what it needs exactly. Are you familiar with that building, Mayor Colburn?
Yes, absolutely, but I'll let Hudson, Public Works Foreman Mahalik speak to that.
I think what you guys are saying about just having it painted and clean up is definitely needed. I think it's just a building that's somewhat been neglected in the village for the last, I don't know how many years, but just kind of been left to the side. And yeah, I could definitely use a freshen up and clean up, and we could put some storage in there and fix some things up that are what is there. Yeah.
And do you as a team do rounds and things like that and check on things, that there's no leaks happening or anything like that? So
Yeah,
as far as you know, from just doing your rounds, that it's in a fairly reasonable shape, except for, a few
Yeah.
face
For sure, it's a brick building. I think the building's in good shape. The roof is still good. The eaves troughs are good on it. I think it just could use a paint and a cleanup, like you're saying.
Does that answer your question, Councillor Janice?
Yes,
Perfect. So, in favor of doing that, using a placeholder of 2,500 for, in a few years, maybe in 2020, oh, Councillor Dunn.
No, I'm.
Oh, sorry. We could put that in maybe 2028 because we are, yeah, maybe 2028. Or will we need that full 5,000, do we think, to do some repairs? CAO Nelson Smith.
As we're just in the first iteration of the budget, I think it would be fair to have our public works foreman go and do an assessment before the next meeting and bring forward some price points.
Fantastic. So for right now, it's kind of a storage and clean, and then to put something in there for investigations further on out. Yeah, perfect, great. All right, 2024.
Thank you. So the first two, our funding runs out at the end of November. So this is something we will have to strike from the budget as it ended up being complete and not likely to be completed by the end of November.
Okay.
Lot 501 feasibility study is slated to be done by the end of this year. Just last I heard, waiting for some test results. And so likely that will have the feasibility study before the end of the year. Mobile home park upgrades. Again, this was one of those things that due to the official community plan and the other projects we had going, just sort of kept getting bumped back and bumped back. There has been some work done towards it. We do have some nice overview maps. And I'm working with Maquinna on preparing something for council to review, but not likely that anything's going to happen before the end of 2024. Dike cleaning and assessment, I will pass this over to our public works foreman.
Just something that we've recently been looking into in the last couple of weeks. I am kind of working on it in the background. Would like to push this over into the next year for sure.
Next two, I will defer to you as well.
Fire hall floor upgrade. Would like to see this into next year's too. It's something we never got to this summer. Fire hall meeting room upgrade. So something I'd like to see into the 2025.
The fire department equipment. This is grant funding that we've just applied for. So likely, if we are approved, it will be a 2025 purchase. Museum upgrades. This is another item that would be great to get a more in-depth direction from council on exactly what you would like seen done at the museum. This year we were able to accomplish finishing the siding and painting the outside. But I do believe when this budget was originally put forward, it was thoughts on the interior. RCMP office resident siding and skirting. I will defer to our public works foreman.
It's something I just put out for a couple of quotes and people. I'd like to get to this by the end of the year. I think it's a good project for us to working on coming into December here.
Arborist crew.
I don't believe I will be able to get to this year, but I think it's very needed, and I'd like to see that into 2025 to take down some endangered trees around this community and things that need to be trimmed up. And yeah.
And I do believe that the cemetery update is very close to being completed.
Yeah.
Okay, folks, so what I'm hearing, just to summarize this, that everything from the mobile home park to the fire department equipment gets moved to 2025, or we're obviously they're not going to get done this year, so we're all good with that.
Yep.
Gonna glance around the table. Yeah, okay, good. And then the arborist crew as well, move that over to 2025. I see your hand up, Ms. Frost, and I will get to you in just one second. Museum upgrades, the siding and painting, it's great that you got that done. I think that was a lot of it. And I think the only piece that I knew that we talked of that had left was buttoning up that back room. Just insulation, whatever you're gonna put in there. I don't know if that was wallboard or is it, drywall, thank you. Just so it was possible to put something in there if there was other things that we needed to move in there. But I don't know that that was, that's my recollection. So please let me know if I'm wrong, council. I think the majority was the siding and the painting, and that was pretty much done this year. Am I correct in that?
there anything else you see as the public works team?
I think it can also be viewed at by an electrician for them to just do a health check on it. There's a few kind of wonky things in there in the building. And then the back room, yeah, like as far as insulation and drywall, we could leave it there, but is there more to what you guys want to see with that room or?
This is a whole nother conversation that we're probably not gonna wanna dig deep into this evening. There's been talk about all sorts of things, and I guess now that the Heritage Board is no more, then these are further conversations that council will have to have, what we want to keep acquiring or not acquiring in that. If we want to beef up the preservation of things in all of those things are questions for council that I have no idea, because it's a new thing that we've kind of taken on, that the Heritage Board is no more. So that's something that I think council is gonna have to take a dive into this year about what exactly is gonna go on with that building as a whole. Councillor Deck.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I think we should push that museum upgrade money to next year because it's gonna need a lot of work over time, and I'm sure that we will all agree that it should be done. But for now, I don't think there's much point in trying to do anything till the weather gets better. Yeah, to get some breathing room.
And as Aaron mentioned too, getting the security, so there is a security system in place, so we just have it looked over again to make sure it functions properly.
Yeah.
I've noticed that Claudia, sorry, I called you Cynthia, I didn't mean to do that. Claudia Frost, who is our finance manager, you had your hand up and wanted to interject here. Please feel free to do so.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, Mayor and Council. I just wanted to bring to Council's attention that these items that are in 2023 or 2024 don't necessarily go away. We're just saying that they're going to be completed in 2025. They stay on the books until Council decides that you're actually going to completely remove them with with a motion. And you actually have museum. I think originally we had $15,000 slated for the museum upgrades, and 10 was in 2024 and 5 is in 2025. So I just wanted, even though the projects are going to be completed in 2025, they are, don't leave the, basically the accounting, the books, we don't change them over to the year 2025. They're still slotted as 2023, 2024 expenditures or capital projects. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you for that clarity. And I just, yeah, I just a will of council to keep moving. So thank you for that. I appreciate that. That brings us to the next page. Unless there's anything else from council that I've. Hey. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. So in the 5-year financial plan that council put forward last year, these are the items that were slated to be done in 2025. And so this is the pulse check whether council still wants to see these projects done in the 2025 year.
I have a question. Are all of these in the capital needs budget? Are these included in these capital needs budgets?
No, there is some crossover, and we've noticed.
There is some crossover. Okay,
And we made note that included in the 5-year financial plan.
okay. Thank you for that. Okay. So did you want to go through them or?
Well, seeing as we haven't started any, I think that's up to council's decision whether we want to move them forward into the 2025 budget.
Yeah, I'm just wondering how to organize it because we've got a bunch of needs lists as well, plus these. So I don't know if going through these and saying yes. Yeah, I'm not sure how to do that. Maybe that's what we'll do though, is we'll go through these first and ask if they are still priorities of council for this year. And then we'll go into the needs list. I'm just kind of conscious of time here. Okay, so village flooring and joist repair 1,500 this year. Is that something that you think you can accomplish as public works?
Yes.
But not with that price point. I hear your hesitancy.
Sorry, I just had to think about it. I depending on what it is, like I believe I'd probably try and source this work out. Not that it doesn't take time to organize all that, but.
Okay. Backhoe replacement.
That would just stop there.
Yeah, that pretty much. Yeah, that's the budget, folks. We're done now. No more talk. No, I'm just kidding. That's something that you see as well, I know you still see it as a need. Yes, absolutely. Okay. Replacing garbage bins. I noticed that's a little bit of rollover into your other, the municipal dock upgrade. You speak to me about that?
Yeah, I just would like to figure out the arrangement of our seaplane dock. It's not anchored properly right now. We're having issues every storm, gangways moving off. If my idea was to see, and that was part of my research project of seeing if we could move it and maybe condense into one dock with our other municipal dock that we have now.
Okay.
I believe it's something that we could do in 2025. Yes.
Little Zeballos Trail Bridge. I'll have to find a grant for that, but
yeah, that was our idea, is to just fix that Zeballos Bridge, the first one going in there. Maybe do something more proper like the other bridges we have around here for pedestrians with aluminum and something that's sturdy and gonna last.
okay. Municipal dock seating with the shelter on the top dock.
That was a council initiative.
That was a council, yeah.
Okay, and that could be something that could be combined with the, you know, a dock project, a full mini dock project, maybe. Could you see that happening in 2025?
Yeah.
Right?
Combining the projects, more or less, you're thinking, and doing a full dock upgrade, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think there needs to be some investigation on feasibility if possible.
Yeah, the seaplane and the muni, through the CAO and SSFID.
Thank you. I think a project of that scope and nature would likely be passed on to somebody else to project manage.
Perfect. Clear lots first on Keno Crescent.
Initiative.
Council. Okay. And then the RV park update. I think that goes hand in hand with the mobile home park planning, right? So if we get that planning piece this year. So how are we feeling about leaving all of these in for this year? And then should we even discuss any needs? Because this looks like a pretty fulsome list for 2025 before anything else gets done. Yeah, actually, could you talk to me a little bit through to the CAO or to Public Works Foreman about kind of time for these jobs. We know that our job is to keep the lights on and that everything messes up. And it's not easy to fix here, and it takes a whole lot of time and effort just to keep our lights on. Do you foresee any of the other kind of in your, do you see that you'll have extra time for further projects coming up in 2025 besides these ones?
No, I think as we've seen over the last few years that we have lots of projects, and as you say, lots of things happen just with regular maintenance and trying to fix things. I think that's already a lot of projects to try and handle this year for sure. Yeah.
Not that I wanted to put, but I just wanted to put that out there for council as we're considering the wants and needs going forward and putting things out to, maybe 2026, or, making sure that we're cognizant of having some time for other things in this year and what that capacity is. So that was all the kind of point I wanted to make with that. Councillor Jack?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Looking at this list, I think these are our wants and needs. And we just try to do what we can to take them off the list. And if things go well, maybe we can do something else, but this is a full plate. Yeah. So let's not add to it.
Is there anything from council's opinion that they want to take off this list, that they want to move out to another year to free some time up for maybe some wants or needs in the coming year? This is your kind of time to discuss, any of these things. Not seeing much from anybody. I would really like to move that backhoe replacement out a year. I think we already have a loan. We just got a brand new truck. But that's just my ruthers. And also that clear lot first on Keno Crescent. I don't exactly know what that was. I actually think that was like the from my recollection of the conversation, that was clearing sight lines and stuff around, and I think that just got done in regular maintenance. But that's just my recollection. I could be wrong. Not okay, Councillor Lewis, thank you. And then Councillor Deck, I got you next.
I know that in lot 501, if you look like from the ambulance station, you can see 3 or 4, I think they're alders, and they're all leaning right towards power lines. So if they come down, they're taking the lines out. So I think that was some of the discussion on lot 501. That one section just needs to be cleared back. May have to get.
Let me just get this straight, because you're talking 501. This is clear the lot, the first on Keno Crescent. That's what you're talking about, if you're talking about the ambulance station, right?
Yeah, just the one right across from the station. Yeah, yeah. There is some trees there that could definitely become an issue.
That was my thought.
So it could be covered under the arborist for 2025?
Yeah.
Perfect. That was it, just that one? Okay,
Yep, no, that's it.
Okay, Councillor Deck.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Just echoing your concern about the backhoe replacement, but I think it should stay on the list, because don't forget, it took almost 2 years to get the dump truck. So that money is not going to be coming out this year, but I think it should stay on the list.
Okay.
Because by the time something actually happens, Foreman McCulloch will be hauling the old backhoe out of town on the new dump truck.
Got it. Councillor Janice, I got you there, but I'll get to you next. Was that all that you had on there?
Yes, thank you.
Perfect, just making sure you're done. Councillor Janice.
Yeah, as far as the backhoe goes, the sooner we get that process started, the better. You know, if we're going to string out payments for it anyways, you know, it'll be beneficial more to have it and to be paying the couple thousand or whatever it is a month. And I think that's a high priority actually because of that situation, because we don't have to put out the money right away. It'll be in increments. So that's my opinion.
Thank you for that. CAO Nelson Smith.
Thank you. Staff as an alternative did look into what it would take to lease a backhoe as opposed to buying a backhoe. And found that it was not financially feasible. What was it, 3,500 a month?
Yeah, upward, starting at 3,500.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. So where did we come to then? Keep these all on the 2025 plan. But the clearing of the lot, that comes with the arborists dollars on the previous page, so that could just get.
I think those danger trees that are within, you know, Crescent, lot one, or the first lot there. I think a few of those trees could be taken down. It is one of my highlighted areas that I want an arborist crew to go in there. As far as clearing the whole lot, it wouldn't be done under that $15,000.
Okay. So, refresh my memory then, council, why do we want that first lot cleared on Kena?
The trees got to be gone.
So do we need the lot cleared? And I just thought it was the trees on that, so let's add the danger trees on that lot to that, but move that out of there, cause I don't even have any. Yes?
Okay.
Okay, and then, all right, major expenditures. There's only a couple items on there. Filing cabinets, want some filing cabinets?
Yes. Would you like me to explain?
Sure. No, I don't need your explanation for that. These are, I mean, obviously, these are just, they're major tiny expenditures. They're major minimum expenditures.
Outside of the ordinary,
Right?
not something we would do every year, but yeah, definitely something we would like to see happen just to improve our lives as we've been going through our filing system. You've probably seen in my last couple of weeks in review. That's become a major project for us here in the office. It's paying off in dividends, but we would ultimately like to have a more efficient filing system.
Okay,
Council table, purely aesthetics. Yes, this one is functioning as a table, but with the new direction of taping, filming, what's the modern version of that? Digitizing council meetings, having a more forward-friendly table that doesn't take up quite as much room in the council chambers.
And it's a little bit lower for shorter people.
Museum upgrades. Again, my recollection of that was that interior.
okay,
So
so,
that seems like a duplicate.
Right.
yeah. Okay. Okay,
The last two I will leave to our public works foreman.
I think the vision there for the municipal board could be another thing that's just incorporated maybe with the bigger picture of maybe upgrading that.
Okay.
municipal dock there.
yep. Add those little pieces together and then make sure they get a subject line on them that all these pieces can come on there. That would be great in our next iteration to get a fulsome, more fulsome. So we want to do docks we wanna do investigation of seaplane movement, we wanna do a little covered area at the top, we wanna do the fish station at the bottom, all those kinds of things, and incorporate all that and come at us with maybe a larger ticket instead of just piecemealing them off.
Yep.
Yeah? Yeah, okay. And then RV picnic tables are pretty
Yeah,
self
And I feel like that's something that could be moved into operational as well.
operational. Okay. Are we all good with that? Will we just,
Yes.
okay. Okay, amazing. So you've captured all of that. Now we'll go through our departments. Holy. All right, if I could get the fire department, and I know this isn't a one person show necessarily, but if the fire department could go through and talk about your three most important, or if the public works could, or if the CAO could, about the three most important things on this list. That would be great.
I will defer that to Chief Martin.
Okay, thank you.
Three most important things
Mm,
compared to the last list that we went through. I don't know, man. It makes these look not so important. Yeah. I just gotta say, we have 14 members on the roster. And I have 12 pegs. And when all 12 of us are in that hall, it is like little sardines in there. We have equipment that's stored in with our turnout gear, like pumps and hoses and spare tires. I need somewhere to put this, so a storage container of some sort. Whether it be on line one, we contract somebody to make one and put it outside, or option B, which is a sea can, portable. At some point, maybe we can reuse it somewhere else. But somewhere to put our extra very needed equipment. So I think that is a priority. This is for 2025, right?
It is, but I
Yeah.
also think there's considerations that we can take into when talking about all these projects, because these are really the needs for all the departments and for all the sections and the counselors that have come back to, ask for their kind of, this is a larger need. So there are some of these things that we, going through this list, this is our first iteration of it, talking about 2025, but there's an option to move these things out, right? To
Yeah.
keep these close to us as we're going through this budget process and say, okay, remember we were talking about this, let's move that out and let's put that as an earmark, because then whether we are here or not, the conversation stays alive. And also we're remembering that, oh yeah, remember last time they wanted this, so that's already in the 2025 list, as is with what happened in the graph there. So is that a little?
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
So I guess probably the next priority would be an electrical upgrade. Need some fans, some air circulation in there, some updated lighting. The exterior lighting on the hall is very minimal. I'd like to get some lights out there. Yeah. At CBAs, we have some working units, but they are on their way out. They're the last version of acceptability, so that's got to be in the budget moving forward. Got to prepare for that. The next one's road rescue, the equipment. I mean, I'd love to see some exercise equipment in there. I mean, that's number one for our members is physical fitness. Not only is it good for our members, but it also helps boost morality and member engagement. Yeah, the rest of it's just.
One second.
Yeah.
So what I'm gonna do is thank you for that. Really appreciate that. So that there's been kind of 4 highlighted. The CAO had a comment to make. Then I've got Councillor Deck. Then I've got Councillor Lewis. And I just wanted to remind you guys that also on the graph on page 7 of 16, there is a fire hall floor upgrading paint on there already that has been put in the 2025 budget. So 2024 it was, so that'll roll over. So CEO Nelson Smith.
Thank you. For much of what's in the fire department for like the road rescue equipment, electrical upgrades, SCBA units, we could harness the power as much as we could of the protective services in Strathcona Regional District to find some grant funding. So that may be something council wants to consider in moving some of these forward, that they be grant contingent. And the biggest effort on staff with that is preparation of the grant application, and Chief Moran and her team putting together specifications of what needs to be purchased. But that could be an alternative to taking it out of any of our surplus or other funds.
Perfect. Thank you for that reminder about our accessing grants. Councillor Jack, I had you next, and then I had Councillor, no, sorry, I had Councillor Lewis first, and then I had Councillor Jack. Sorry about that. Councillor Lewis.
I was just curious to Chief Moran, is there space for exercise equipment in there, like a treadmill or any of that type of stuff?
With the meeting room update, yes, we would take renovation, there is space, yes. Yeah, but the meeting room upgrade needs to be completed.
That's your question?
Thank you.
Okay, and then
Yep.
Councillor Jack.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, I think we should grant Chief Aaron 4 wishes. 1, CCAM. 2, SCBA upgrade. 3, road rescue equipment, and 4, the exercise equipment. I think that would be very beneficial to the crew. I agree. That's my 4 wishes for you.
I have Councillor Janice, but I'm gonna go through to CAO Nelson Smith first because he may have something that will inform your question. So, CAO Nelson Smith.
Thank you. Likely not, but just remembering in a previous area that I worked, we were able to get donations from the major road users for road rescue equipment. So we were able to petition Maui, Western Forest Products, Lemaire, and there's one other outfit that actually donated enough money for the fire department to get road rescue equipment. But it is another option that we could look at for that.
Perfect. Thank you for that. I don't know if that helped your question or anything, Councillor Janice, but over to you.
So does anybody know where we're at with our service agreement with the Hattis regarding fire service?
CAO Nelson Smith.
Thank you. We're currently running on an expired agreement. It expired in 2018, I believe.
In 2018?
That's correct.
Okay. I was just in consideration of maybe getting some of this equipment if I know that they had bought that fire truck in lieu of service, and it was on a monthly basis or something, but there might be some money from that we could put towards some of this stuff. Just an idea.
Thank you for that. Okay, folks, so how we're gonna go through this is, let's see, are we all in agreement of the CCAN? They need to have some storage for things so that they can put some more hooks in.
Yep.
Okay, so that is the 2025.
So the CCAN, I had a question.
Councillor Janice,
Where is the CCAN going to go?
CAO Nelson Smith.
Through to the chief.
In the hopes to go in behind the RCMP. In the back.
Is there a way to get it back there?
With my calculations at this time, it can go in the far side by Rona's house,
Okay, cool.
possibly.
Thank you. The road rescue equipment, the rope harnesses and extrication. So, is that grant and partner donation kind of where we're looking at for that?
Yeah, if it's included, thank you. I think that's a direction we should look at.
How are we feeling about that, folks?
Good.
Yeah. I have a question about the electrical upgrade. If we're already looking at getting somebody in here to do the museum kind of stuff, then are we compounding these projects and getting them to do both of those things? There's a $5,000 kind of cost in here and then a 5 in the 2025 for museum on the graph on page 8 of 16. Is that something that we could combine and do $10,000 and get them to do both of those buildings?
Also believe that the village office is looking for some electrical upgrades, so.
Right, so gets kind of a health of these buildings, because I think that also comes in under a wants one of the counselors submitted about getting things up to par or something like that. So it's just something that I saw in the other documents in the agenda. So how would you feel about that, getting kind of a state of the electrical of these buildings? You know, it's gonna cost us money, folks, in the long run. We're gonna be chasing the wire that has the felt around it. I mean,
Uh-huh.
So I think that's a clever way to look at it.
however, once you open that up, you have to, if you see it, you must replace it, folks. So are we prepared for the dollar attached to that? Sorry, I date a contractor and I know you chase rotten electrical.
Absolutely. Well, either you fix it then, or you call the fire chief, because it's gonna be a fire someday.
All right. Public safety, right? Okay,
Our next iteration, yes, we will compound all of the lake project.
okay. Okay. It just, I can see that as checking off a bunch of the boxes for us if we're doing multiple buildings and doing some public safety and getting some state of our buildings kind of questions answered as well. Okay, so that's a yes. And then exercise equipment or SCBA's.
Your lung capacity, okay.
I think that as those SCBA's are an investment that we have to make. I don't know whether that comes this year and whether that is the grant, the UBCM grant, but that's an investment that we have to make. Those people are gonna fight a fire and they have to have that gear, that protective gear on. So I would be more into doing SCBA's than exercise equipment, but I also noted the value of offering something like that for the members. I don't know if there's things on Marketplace people want to buy, or if there's places going out of business or donations that can be made in that, but I think that probably, I mean, one's a very small ticket item. I'd be okay with it. It doesn't cost a whole lot of staff time or anything like that to get some fire equipment, but those SCBA's I think are pretty important. That's what saves your lungs. Yeah. And then also the resurfacing of floors is in a different, is in a different spot, so.
Can I say something?
Yeah, Chief Aaron, if you'd like to.
Just, I put the resurfacing on there. I know, we had allocated 5,000 for resurfacing. I did do some preliminary contractors, and this is what they came back with to have the contractor do it. They guaranteed 2 to 3 days. Done. I don't know if that makes things or decisions easier.
Can we pop that out into a further year, like a 26 or a 27? How does council feel about that? Putting that into like a 26 or a 27 as a placeholder? how's council feel about that? So that it's on our radar still, but it's not this year's.
Placeholder's good. Yeah.
Yeah?
That's fine, yep.
Okay. And can we? We're gonna have to expand the fire hall, but I think that is the 28, 29 conversation as well. It's right here in the logic. And so I would be okay with that. How's everybody feeling about that? Does that cover fire hall? Do you have enough information to go on with that? We're trying to get people what they want, but $208,500 for the fire department. Woo! No, I'm just kidding.
Just don't turn the page and we'll be
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, right? Mr. Mahalik, public works foreman. Well, we've already got kind of a, there's the ones on 2025 already in back here, that is the backhoe.
Mhm.
I know that there are a lot of things that you need. And we've talked a couple of things, so like the reno's already in the public works, the library reno is in the 5-year, the library septic. It's in the 5-year, but that's a different conversation. Anyways, there's some of these that are already kind of in the 5-year for 2026. So while you're looking at prioritizing, also look at prioritizing what year you want those to be in.
Mhm.
Yeah, I know that's hard to do with public works, and we do want to give you everything you need to do to work, do your job.
A good way to look at it is what can you not get through 2025 without?
Yeah, and I think to no surprise that the SCADA should be at the top of the list.
That's $11,000 or $80,000. I like the price range there. Good job.
The numbers there were just reflecting that 11,000 comes from the discussion I've had with who we are currently using our service through and just doing the few little upgrades and updating the internet a little bit more and a few other little things that we have to do and he assures me that will be in good working order. The 80,000 is tear it out and restart again and do a whole revamp of it and start fresh.
And I also had a question, just while we're on this, can we link that SCADA and the Starlink to Public Works? Because I think those things also kind of are linked intrinsically together, no matter what system we have. Because unfortunately, though I've heard conversations about it, I don't think we can go back to a float in the reservoir. Just manual. Right? So, yeah, CAO Nelson Smith.
That actually was going to be my comment.
Yep.
Having done Hudson's job for most of my career, floats are reliable. They're not subject to, power shortages or, internet interruptions. They're mechanical. So, very reliable, and given where we exist, replacement can be done in-house. You don't need to get an expert to come in and change a float switch. I think that the SCADA is a little bit much for the systems that we're currently running. Typically, a SCADA, you're looking at a highly complex wastewater treatment plants or water treatment plants. We're, from the well to the house. So, it seems a little excessive for what we're providing.
Thank you for that. For sure. Yeah, so if you could pick out your top 3, so SCADA or something like that. So, I mean, we can put the 80 in the budget and leave it up to whatever. So that's kind of your first one.
My second pick would be backhoe. I think it's an important tool that we use. The current one is getting worn out, aged, and somewhat becoming dangerous soon. Just with how much movement we have in it and working closely with somebody in a ditch or fixing a water main and you still have continuous swing when you do stop your backhoe, it is becoming either we need to drop a lot of money into it or look into it.
Okay,
And my third would be just the reservoir inspection. Just having our reservoir camera and inspected, hasn't been done in years. It'd be good to get some eyes on it to see how much sediment in that, and if we need anything, then we'll just move forward.
Right.
For the health of our water system.
Councillor Denise.
Thank you. I think that backhoe number is incorrect. I think that should be, we should figure out if we finance it for 8 years or whatever the term would be, how much we'd be paying per year. And then reinsert that number over the next 5 years, because it's not like we're going to fork that out right away. So I think that needs an adjustment, in my opinion.
Some more investigation there for sure. Okay. So some of these things are already in the 5-year. The backhoe's in for the 5-year. We're gonna do some monetary kind of adjustments there and see how that works for financing and things like that. The 2026 is side by side. Are we keeping that in there? CO Nelson Smith.
Thank you. I think that is one of those items that we could seek grant funding for, especially if we're getting an electrical one. There is so much grant funding out there for environmentally friendly options. So either through the climate, Ministry of Climate and that one.
Yep, absolutely. Do those require an auto hook? They're just a plug-in to a regular.
110.
Thank you, because that will be the next thing that we're gonna have to talk about.
To speak to that too, I just think it would greatly cut down our
Reduce.
fuel consumption just for regular gardening maintenance, checking on our water system. You could be using that instead of using a full-size truck and wasting lots of fuel.
Absolutely. Okay, so are we in agreement that we're gonna go ahead with the backhoe, with the reservoir inspection and with the SCADA or alternative kind of solution for public works?
It's
Not hearing
Yes.
any no's. Awesome. Okay. So, side by side is 26. Are we okay with having that grant related? Not
Yep.
hearing no's. Trailer is on a 2028 budget. Reasonable? Thank
Yep.
you. Reservoir inspection, that's done this year. Weed eaters, I mean, it's a $2,000. I'm not gonna, and that should be an operating anyways, right?
Right.
Those are both moved to operations. Fantastic. We've got a pipe camera for 2027. A new mower for 2026. The garbage bins for 2025, are we keeping that in there? I think there's some major ones that do need replacement. And that, of course, is preventative for public safety and rats and all that kind of stuff. It is a $25,000, but it's already in the 5-year. We're good?
Yep.
Okay, fuel tanks are 2028. Garbage truck. 2025.
Yep.
master locate of all utilities. Can you talk to me about that?
That's just, giving a locating company in the village to do all locating of our water lines, sewer lines. Getting the mapping and understanding of where everything is,
Thank you for that.
finally, yeah.
Yeah, and that's already in the 2026. We're gonna leave that in there. Yes, Starlink. I think that that's hand in hand with, like I said, the SCADA. Those things can't happen separately. They have to happen both. And I think that that's a priority for this office as well. And maybe even for the museum. If that alarm system, if that's what we're, you know, if that's how we're rolling on that, I think those could probably be combined.
Yeah.
Okay, good. CCAN for 2026. Already in there. Delineation, I like delineation of parking spots. That's one of my big things. New locks and keys, oh, those are both operating projects anyways. The rental trailer, that's more to do on there besides what's already been done. That's more to keep the life of the building.
Yeah, just exterior stuff now. I feel like we've got a pretty good grasp on most of the stuff inside with the rentals this year and kitchen upgrade. I think the exterior could use a fresh paint, skirting, and just to go over it.
RCMP office ramp.
Thinking fire smart grounds.
Perfect, so grant dependent. We good here, folks? You're all with me?
Yep,
Okay. Library rental for 2027. Library septic for 2026. I don't like that one. I think that these are all bigger conversations about water usage and new sewer systems and capacity and carrying that sewer over here. I think that there are some of these things that we're gonna be doing that when we're thinking longer term, doing to tear apart. That's just my opinion.
yeah, no, I was gonna say, yeah, wait for the library septic if it can last until the septic gets onto this side.
We want to move it out another year just to, I'd hate for it to fail. Like, that's not what I want here, but like,
No,
Mr. Public Works Foreman Mouth.
From what I can see right now, it's not the risk of it failing. It's just that the tank is undersized, no bigger than the table here. We're pumping it out quite frequently because of the added use at the library and the post office. Just a way of cutting out costs in the future and not having to chuck it out and have a proper functioning system.
Okay, what are we doing? Leaving it in, bumping it out? Nobody says anything, we're leaving it in. Village office drainage, and yard re-landscaped. Councilor Lewis,
is that to get rid of the giant puddles out front?
Yes, I would be helping fix some drainage in between the buildings here. Taking out all the dips and dives, digging out a few old trees in the front yard and just cleaning up around here.
answer your question? Okay. And that's a 2026 project anyways. Good. Golden Gate Park is already in the 5 years. CNO Nelson Smith.
I was gonna say, is that close enough to the other project that we're looking up at the harbor to amalgamate like a giant parks plan, a cenotaph, Golden Gate Park, covering at,
You are so right. That's amazing. Yeah. Yeah. And so, this Golden Gate project, the 60,000. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's in 2025. And I'm actually gonna make a motion, but before the end of this meeting. We do have our second strategic priority is, trails and parks planning. And there's so much park stuff on here. We've got Cenotaphs, we've got Golden Gate, we've got municipal work, we've got asks from people to do multiple parks in the community. I had a talk with Brian Copeland, who had asked us about the Cenotaph project. And I think that it's time that we pull together, and also we had some conversation from Councillor Lewis and Councillor Jack from participating in those conversations about the Cenotaph. I think that we should pull together a select committee to deal with our parks and have a really fulsome conversation about that. I think that piecemealing it again like this is not doing us any favors in the long run. We just did the OCP kind of public review earlier, or public hearing, and there was talks in that, I remember, with the engagement pieces about parks and having access to those and what that would look like, but there's no specifics in there. So I think it would be a really good opportunity to have a reflection of sorts, a status of what we plan to put where, and have a more fulsome conversation about that, but not do that at a committee of the whole, because as we know, committee of the wholes are full. So we're gonna have to pull a select committee together. At least that's my idea. We can do that with all members of council. We can do that with at least one member of council. The rules on that, I asked CEO Nelson Smith to look that up, is what?
look it up again.
Sorry about that. There was at least one member of council, up to all. There could be public input in that, so there's room. And Mr. Copeland said he would be happy to be on a select committee like that, to have those conversations.
So the folks online can't see this, but a council may establish and appoint a select committee to consider or inquire into any matter and to report its findings and opinions to the council. At least one member of a select committee must be a council member, and subject to subsection 2, persons who are not council members may be appointed to a select committee. So that could be Brian.
So I know that there's a priority to take back some village property, to see what we have, to delineate some of that, to survey some of that. And I think that that's probably what I'm going to put forward. I'm actually going to make that motion now to put together a select committee to deal with parks, because there's a lot going on in that, and I don't think we have a clear vision going forward.
Second that.
Again, it's just about piecemealing things out. I think we need a longer term plan. Anybody have any questions or comments about that? There are these projects we can do in the meantime. That doesn't mean it puts a stop to projects. It just means there's a more focused plan in place.
Yes, did you make the motion?
I did make the motion. Councilor Lewis seconded it.
Good.
Questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
And then we'll ratify that at a different meeting. Oh, there's so much park stuff in these, right? As I was going through it, I was like, I don't know how we're gonna deal with it all. Okay, administration. Everyone else in Smith.
I don't really have a top 3. All of this can be deferred. I mean, as long as we are able to continue to do our jobs as we have been doing them, then I'm satisfied. These are more wants than needs. Aside from maybe the village office lighting.
Yeah. I think that's a priority because I come in here all the time and everything is dark. And it looks like the village office isn't open and nobody's here. So I think that actually is a priority, so I'd like to put that one through. Reasonable?
Yes.
Yes, indeed.
And then I think there are conversations that are going to happen around these buildings once we get the electrical done, that they get electrical inspections done, that will inform the possibilities of what we can do here in this office. So that, I think there's a marker for that, the top one to convert the attic, but not necessarily a placeholder, just don't let it go off the radar, right? Because
Yeah.
we need to find some housing here for people.
Mhm.
Whether it be the CAO, whether it be, yeah, however that works. Professionals coming in, all those things. Okay, we good? You with me? Capital needs counselor request. Counselor Janice, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Yes. Lead us through this. And can you also, when you're doing that, can you, keeping in mind what we've got going on already, put in maybe some dates out there if some of these can be pulled out, or if not, they want them all in 2025.
Sure. I think the the first one I believe is already happening. After I've figured that out, we can move to the second one. That's kind of already in place. It's been talked about quite a bit tonight. The third one, I think it's pretty obvious. I mean, nobody really knows where to park at the museum or at the library post office. Everybody kind of just flies in there, and it'd be nice to have some defined parking spaces. Maintenance in public buildings. Skate park. I think that's a good one. Those two areas aren't very usable the way they are right now. And that goes in line with what I'm always talking about is maintaining and making usable like our current facilities and our current assets, right? And then our wage reviews for our staff to make sure they're on level with where they should be at.
Okay, thank you for that. If you were to pick three, I was gonna say the same thing. If you were to pick a couple of priorities here, what would be the biggest ones that you see are the biggest priorities?
Yeah, so I would go back to what I just said. So the upgrade village buildings, or no, sorry, resurface of the skate park and the basketball, upgrade the basketball area. And then probably the parking and situation at the library post office. And the equipment at the Golden Gate Park. But that, I think that's a bigger picture that we're all interested in, and we're very interested in, like you were just saying, about getting a committee started. And like I think a trail going through Golden Gate Park all the way to the municipal dock would be cool, and some playground equipment. I don't know if we can fill that area and extend the park, so just to fight against erosion and stuff. Yeah, so there you go.
Thank you for
Those three.
that. So we're gonna pop all three of these kind of into 2025? Or are
Sounds
we
good.
going to move them out, considering what Public Works had to say, that just with their kind of things, they're keeping lights on and that's about all they could kind of do? Are we gonna wait until next iteration? CEO Nelson Smith.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just to address a couple of these that they may tie into other things that we're already doing. So we're already doing the delineation of the overflow parking lot. We're doing a traffic and parking bylaw, hopefully in 2025 with council. I think that the library parking, village office parking, museum parking could all be tied into that as a singular project. So
Right on.
that's my thought on that one. And yeah, I do believe something like playgrounds is another area where there's lots of grant funding available if we look hard enough.
Yeah, and gaming grants are like, there's a ton of money in gaming grants. And it might, I see your hand, Councillor Lewis. It might be worthwhile to, although I think it came from BC Axe, now that I'm thinking about it. Anyways, OC just redid their entire, it's crazy what they've done out there. Uklaji, sorry, New Charlotte Reserve, Uklaji, has just redone their parks, and it's like their playground is magnificent. But I think that came from cleaning and BC children, BC Aboriginal children, like a BC Axe, it's called. I can't remember the name of it, but that's the acronym. Look it up. Yeah. So yeah, there are lots of grants out there for it. And then if we're having a conversation about it in a committee format with, you know, either all the councillors, some people from the community, maybe some people with kids that actually want to, people that run, you know, maybe some tourism businesses in town want to have, you know, their say in what people are accessing and where people are, that they want their kids to be amused, right? Yeah. Okay, thank you for that. We'll pop it all in and we'll see where that gets us.
Yes.
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 And I will get Councillor Lewis as well.
I'll be quick. Looking at this list, to me, I'm getting tired just listening to all the work that Mahalik and his crew have to do. So we better look at the wage reviews and make sure these people are paid properly. Otherwise, they're gonna be gold brickets. Thank you.
Councillor Lewis?
Just with the parking situation and all the work that they're doing for delineation and all that sort of stuff, is that gonna be factored in for the marina parking as well?
Yes.
The CAO Nelson Smith says yes.
Perfect.
Can you tell I'm happy about that?
Yeah.
And then of course mine is last. And so I'm just gonna say forget it. Again, no. The floor in the bathroom, the joist, that's already been discussed. So in a previous iteration, has it not?
How many rolls of duct tape and $15,000? That's a given floor.
I did not put any of these costs in. I will have you know that staff actually put these costs in. I didn't cost any of this stuff myself. Thank you very much. Yeah, there's rot definitely going on underneath his building. And we talked about flooring. And I think that I think that was on your list on flooring. Before we do anything with any flooring, we've got to get this bottom of this building shored up. I think that leads right into what Councillor Janice was saying about keeping our municipal buildings maintained and you know, so yeah, I really like to have that done. I don't know whether that works in with Public Works foreman Mahalig's work, or if that will have to be contracted out, or what that looks like, but I'd really like to have that, at least a plan in place and marked for 26. Is that okay? Oh, Councillor Lewis, yes.
I was gonna say that, making sure that the foundation is completely solid would, need to be addressed before one even looks at the upstairs. There's no sense building the upstairs and having it collapse down below.
Right? Are we good with that?
Yep.
Having a look at it at least and putting a plan in place for 26. Yes.
I did like to point out that it is listed in the 2025 column in the 5-year financial plan already.
Amazing.
Just confirming if that is still intended to be moved to 2026.
Good.
Park, I'm gonna defer that to the parks. I do think that there is an opportunity to have a park somewhere in the village, whether it's at Golden Gate, whether it's between, that is all taking back village property, reclaiming village property. Maybe even in the back of the museum, there's a lot of ground back there that's not being used for a whole heck of a lot. It's already fenced, it's already, right? But I will defer that to the parks conversation. I think the cenotaph has to be put in this year at least, so we have a place to start on that parks committee, because I know that there was some interest from a citizen in doing that. So if we could put that in 2025, I really appreciate that. And I think that parks can, they could come back to council with some recommendations on how to move forward with that. Not seeing any no's here, so I'm just gonna keep going. For sure, Walkthrough, we've already talked about. Golden Gate, that was not a mini park at Golden Gate, that was taking back the parking at Golden Gate, but I believe Councillor Janice has already discussed that. The ball field has been discussed already, the delineation has already been discussed, and so have the wage reviews. Speed bumps at the bridge. There's no cost on that.
No, so we're just looking for a council resolution to either do it or not do it.
Are we doing that tonight?
Yes.
Anybody?
I move so that we consider a speed bump at the bridge and maybe some more speed bumps in town.
And
Second that.
can we clean that up a bit?
Please do.
Could we say that the speed bumps bought with the bridge money going across Parkway be installed?
Second that.
Yeah, just because we don't want anybody to think we're putting Maquinna, don't get Modi after us. Can't do that on our road.
No.
Yeah. Okay, so that was seconded, moved and seconded, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That's carried, so that'll get ratified. And then actually, when we were talking about parks, the park project that I had in mind was the estuary park plan that I put together, I think in, like, at least the proposal kind of together in 20, I forgot to look, I was too busy having dinner. In between working here. So I'm gonna defer that too, but I think that's a project that everybody was on board with. It's just never had any money thrown at it. I'd really like to get it on the books tonight. If we can put that in for 2026, although I know it's not gonna happen. And it would be a direct relation to the proposal that I did, whatever date about including the indigenous language and the estuary proposal trail. That's what it was. I don't have a cost estimate on that. That requires elder participation and language and all that kind of stuff, but I think it's an interpretive type look back at the project. What it was intended to be was in the estuary trail to have indigenous language and place saving for where they harvest foods and things that may be places that people don't want to be walking, plant identification, those kinds of things, all in that estuary trail. So to give a kind of,
Do you need a motion for that?
I don't think I just want a placemaker in 2026 for something to go move forward with, at least to get some costs or something on it.
Yeah, and so do I.
Okay.
With you there.
Sounds good.
Reddit funding would cover all of that. Well as active transportation.
Do we want to put it in for 2025 then? I've been sitting on this for years, folks. At least get some research done. Research portion 2025, maybe completion, start 26, complete 27. I'm willing to put that out to over years.
Yeah.
But I can also maybe not guarantee I'm gonna be here.
Well,
So let's put it on the,
So-
Nelson Smith.
Thank you. Technically, it is already on there. We've got $46,000 in our trail maintenance and extension
Okay,
plan. So we'll just make sure that we include development of the estuary project in that subject line.
okay. We made it through that full length. Anything else that staff needs from us for our next iteration? Anything else that we forgot? We're talking about your wages at some point. No, just kidding. Anything that anybody else missed, didn't want to? I take an adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? That's carried.